welcome to this week's special show from Rio de Janeiro. The so-called marvellous city has just been host to the UN's largest environment conference ever. Rio Plus 20 marks 2 decades since sustainable development was first put on the global agenda. So how far have we come and how far do we still have to go? Coming up in this week's show, we start in Brazil itself, where small farmers are proving it's possible to earn a profit while protecting the Amazon. Reforestation programs are offering a new type of green economy, turning around our destructive past. Next, we visit a college in India that's lighting up the poorest villages around the world. Here in a remote village of Rajasthan, rural women from all over the globe are being trained as solar engineers, taking home with them a sustainable, affordable source of light. And finally, how is a lick of paint helping to save the planet? We explore the benefits of painting the rooftops white in San Francisco, where a law requires all new commercial buildings to use reflective coating. Behind me here on the beaches of Rio, a protest calling on decision makers to save our sick planet. Part of their concern is protecting the Amazon, of which 580,000 square kilometres has been destroyed since 1980. But with tougher laws and successful reforestation programs, it's welcome news that the rate of decline is falling. This next report from the forests in the north of Brazil.
Tree stumps are the only visible sign of what was once dense forest. In this part of the Amazon in northern Brazil, illegal deforestation has been rampant for decades. 40 years ago, many farmers were encouraged to relocate to this region. Miguel Calvi set up a small farm here.
Everyone who comes here does as they please. They don't think about tomorrow. And now we have to repair the damage.
Miguel is now working on a reforestation program. He's planted banana and mahogany trees and is also growing cocoa on this small plot of land. An NGO specialising in environmental research is backing the project and advises him on how best to redevelop the forest.
If I plant 1,000 or 2,000 of these trees, I'll have a quiet retirement in 20 years, but my children and grandchildren could really profit from it in 30 or 40 years.
The reforestation project has encouraged farmers to grow cocoa. It grows fast, which brings quick results, and it discourages more destructive forms of agriculture. The only slight problem is that cocoa trees need shade.
We're going to produce bananas, which will also create shade for the cocoa plants growing underneath. It's a long-term project. You can't just recreate a forest from one day to the next.
Manuel Jose Lete is another small farmer working to regenerate deforested land. He has taken a more organic approach, working without the use of pesticides. These efforts are all part of Brazil's bigger fight against illegal logging. And the results are promising. Since 2004, the rate of deforestation has fallen by 80%. But changing attitudes is the hardest part.
There are a good number of people who want to preserve the forest, but many others believe it is important to destroy the forest, to farm the land effectively.
Small farmers are hoping to prove that it is possible to combine profit with the protection of the Amazon. It may be a crucial development for a country which has lost 20% of its rainforest in the past 40 years.
The largest favela in South America. Here there's electricity, but it's acquired illegally by siphoning it from the main grid, creating images like this. But talks in Rio have focused on what you might call more sustainable options. And nowhere is that more obvious than in a remote corner of India at a school which teaches poor rural women how to become solar engineers. We went to visit the Barefoot College in Rajasthan. This is a school like no other. To qualify for a place, you must be female, without a degree, and live in a remote village. Grandmothers are given special preference. Yenny comes from the mountains of Peru. Her home of Turuturu has no electricity. She was sent by her community, leaving behind her children and husband for 6 months.
Nobody dared to come here for 6 months, and at the beginning I said no, leave my family, my children. They are very young, so I said no. But I realized the needs of my community, and if nobody came, nothing would be done.
These women come from all over the globe: South America, Africa, the Pacific Islands. All of them have one thing in common: they'll leave this school with a diploma, that of a solar engineer. The Indian government pays for their training, the United Nations for equipment. And this is what they'll bring home: solar light for their village. The teachers speak mostly Hindi, the students up to 10 other tongues. First step on arrival, then learning a shared language, starting with the names of all colours in English.
7 violet, 8 clear, 9 white.
We also use sign language. We show the circuit and point out what's important. For example, resistance 1 goes here, resistance 2 goes there. And then they colour match it with one that's already made.
It's not always a smooth process. Mariam comes from Uganda, where she's more used to taking care of her 6 grandchildren than messing around with circuit boards.
We are older women. We are grandy women, so we go slow, and we understand small.
Life in India can be difficult for these women. Today it's 45 degrees in the shade. The food is also different, much spicier, and there's no meat. But each is glad to be here after being hand-chosen by this man, Bunker Roy, a social activist and founder of the Barefoot College. One of the questions he's most often asked: why women and not men?
And the moment you give a man a certificate, he leaves the village looking for a job in a city. So why train men at all? We thought the best way to keep the skill in the village, make it useful, is to train women. And not only women, but illiterate rural women who have roots in the soil, roots in the village, who never leave the village, and they have a flair to teach others.
Take a road 1 hour from the college and you reach the village of Balajikidani. It's been 5 years since the residents first welcomed solar lighting, eliminating the need for kerosene. Each villager pays the equivalent of 40 cents per month to cover maintenance costs and the salary of their own solar engineer. Today she can be found inside her workshop. Santosh, 21 years old with 2 children. On average, she repairs 10 solar lanterns per month, making her a vital asset to the village.
In these 30 houses, I'm the only woman who knows how to do this. I don't go to them, they come to me. I'm so happy and proud to repair these lanterns.
Night falls on the village, but thanks to the solar lighting, its residents can continue to cook, read, sew, study, or even work in the fields. Nearly 1,000 villagers in 41 countries are now equipped with these solar lamps, bringing 4 hours of light each night, and with it 4 hours of extra life. A terrace with a view here in Rio reveals a multicoloured array of rooftops across this favela. While green might be the preferred colour of environmentalists, it's white, which seems to be the true colour of energy savings. Research has shown that by giving all of these rooftops a whitewash, we could save trillions of tonnes of carbon dioxide. This next report from San Francisco, where painting a roof with a reflective coating is now a legal requirement.
A layer of paint to save the planet. Larry and his team are helping fight climate change by painting the roof of this school white.
In the summer, this could get up to 130, 140 degrees. Where it's been coated white, I got 64 degrees.
Traditional roofs soak up tremendous energy and heat of the sun. But so-called cool roofs with white or light paint reflect the rays, meaning a building will need to use less of its own energy staying cool. Jim's company makes a white coating that can cool a roof for up to 20 years.
As well as being highly reflective, it saves air conditioning costs and saves energy and keeps the building cooler.
Looking down on San Francisco, you can't miss them. Cool roofs have spread across the city since 2005, when a law was passed requiring all new commercial flat roof buildings and each renovated building to use reflective coating.
47.
Physicist Arthur Rosenfeld is a pioneer thinker on cool roofs. As California's energy commissioner, he pushed to make them a legal requirement. He says the greenhouse gas payoff would be enormous if the world's so-called urban heat islands got a whitewash.
It's equivalent to canceling out the emissions of half the cars in the world for 20 years. So it's a big deal. And you get this for free. There are not many global warming tricks that will do that.
Yet the trick is not as often used as one would hope. California is only the first state to enforce a law on a fresh coat of paint.
We couldn't leave Brazil without showing one last image of Christ the Redeemer lit up in green to mark the Rio +20 conference. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Thanks for joining us here on France 24. We look forward to seeing you back in Paris.